Welcome into Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Meghan Payton. We've got Seahawks news, Seahawks injury updates, NFL COVID issues going around the league. We're going to talk about all of that today on our show, but we are going to first get into some roster changes that happened in Seattle. Nothing too crazy. Linebacker Tanner Muse signed to the active roster. We kind of expected that with the injuries going on in Seattle. Defensive back Gavin Heslop, who we know had that bad injury last week against the Texans, he is now officially placed on injured reserve, but he is back in Seattle. Owner Jody Allen flew him back private after he had to stay in Houston to get surgery on two broken bones in his leg. Safety Josh Jacobs, he was also signed to the practice squad. I can tell Seattle's just trying to, add a little bit of depth because they are losing a lot of guys on defense. So these are just the kind of typical protocol that you would see, when you are losing guys. Some more injury updates. As we know, running back Chris Carson has been out and will be out for the remainder of the year. Pete Carroll told us that he did undergo neck surgery, so it apparently went well. He's feeling positive. Pete Carroll said that Chris Carson's feeling positive enough to hopefully be able to get back out there next year. This is something that's a little bit more serious than your average injury. He's been dealing with this lingering neck issue all the way since back in college. It's not something that happened off of one play. It clearly was something a little bit more intense. Hopefully this surgery gets him feeling better, and hopefully we can see him back out there next year. But that's the update on Chris Carson. As far as who's currently on this roster with chances of playing, these are all guys that participated in Wednesday's walkthrough. Brandon Shell, who's been dealing with that shoulder injury. Pete Carroll said we won't know for a few days whether or not he will be able to play on Sunday. It sounded to me a little bit more optimistic than I would have maybe thought. DJ Reed dealing with that chest contusion. Pete Carroll is saying he has a good chance at playing and that he should be good to go. This to me is very important because we'll get into why it's important, but I'd like them to have DJ Reed back. Bryan Mone dealing with that knee injury. We don't know too much, but we do know that he did participate in Wednesday's walkthrough. And Travis Homer as well with that calf and hamstring injury. Not sure if he'll be able to play Sunday, but these are all guys that participated in Wednesday's walkthrough. And then Adrian Peterson, did you forget about him? He did not play against the Texans last week, dealing with lower back pain. Pete Carroll actually said that he has a decent good chance to play against this Rams team. Now, he was put back onto the practice squad, so Adrian Peterson is not going to show up on the injury report. Clearly, if they were thinking he's healthy enough, they would activate him, bring him back up. We would see him against the Rams. Maybe Rashad Penny can do it all by himself, though. Either way, you'd like some of these guys to get back healthy out there if the Seahawks want that last push at making the playoffs. So my question for you guys today is, which player do the Seahawks need to return the most in order to beat the Rams? This is our pinned comment for today's show. So make sure you go in, get your votes in. If you get the ad break here, I'm going to tell you my vote right after the break. All right, my vote is that they need DJ Reed back. I said that just a second ago, but this is the most important guy, I think, out of this injury list, who they need in order to beat the Rams, because the Rams have a really strong passing game with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. They've got some great guys out there. And the Seahawks secondary, they are somewhat struggling. They clearly have a lot of injuries going on just in the DB room as a whole. And so if they're without DJ Reed, I think that's going to pose a problem for the Seahawks defense, as if it's not already a problem enough. So I think that the Seahawks need DJ Reed. And I also think that you guys need some Seahawks gear. We've got a great deal going on for you guys over at Fanatics. If you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hat, you can get all these cool hats. They're up to 50% off. This is your last minute holiday shopping alert, because right now you can get these hats before Christmas, guys. It's December 14th. They will not be getting there much before Christmas if you wait. So make sure you go to chatsports.com/Seahawks hat, get your cool beanies. There's also this cool long sleeve beanie combo. It's $25. I've got these things on my Christmas gear. I'm already repping Seahawks right now. I've got my vintage sweatshirt on today. Make sure you go check out this deal. Get 50% off and get your holiday shopping out of the way. All right, so we got some COVID-19 updates for you guys. Greg Bell, who covers the Seattle Seahawks, he said that Pete Carroll was asked during the press conference today, did the Seahawks add any players to the COVID-19 list today? Pete Carroll said, no, all negative. I was thrilled about that. With all that's going on around the league, We were wearing masks everywhere. So this has clearly been an issue around the NFL. They are struggling this week. There's a lot of guys popping up positive. Pete Carroll has been really good, though, about the way that he's handled his team. You know, they did their boosters last week. They're testing twice a week. He said they're wearing masks. So they're doing everything they can not to lose any guys. They have only had one positive test since COVID started, by the way. They had none last year. Gerald Everett this year, the only one that they've had so far. Meanwhile, the LA Rams currently have 16 players on the reserve/COVID-19 list. That's a lot. And by the way, this is not the video where we're going to break all of that down. That's going to be tomorrow's video, which is our Seahawks versus Rams preview. This is why you subscribe to Seahawks Today, so you do not miss out on our videos. I'll tell you about them here and there beforehand, but this is the time to subscribe to Seahawks Today so you do not miss out on any of our content. We're going to give you guys updates, injury reports. As I said, we've got our Seahawks versus Rams game preview tomorrow. So go to youtube.com/Seahawks TV, press the big red button. Just make sure you're in the know with your Seahawks team. All right, we've got more potential moves going on around Seattle. The latest news we've been hearing is that quarterback coach Austin Davis may be getting hired as Auburn's offensive coordinator. Now, this was, I think, a little bit surprising, but I could understand, why they would want a guy like Austin Davis. Austin Davis has been in Seattle with Russell Wilson for 2 years. They've built a pretty good relationship. And so I think that if Russell Wilson was without Austin Davis, this would be somewhat of a loss. I think that, there's already enough rumors going around about what's Russell Wilson going to do next year. Is Shane Waldron going to leave? What's going to happen? I don't think that it's a positive that his quarterback coach might be leaving. Obviously, congratulations to him. That's a big deal. Bruce Feldman, who covers Fox, he said, source says Seahawks QB coach Austin Davis is a candidate for the Auburn offensive coordinator vacancy. Brian Harsin is still in the process of vetting candidates with the 32-year-old Davis among them. I'm told that no offer has been made. So this isn't official, guys. We don't know 100%, at least by the time we're making this video. Maybe it changes, but right now it is not official. I could see it absolutely happening. And I think it leads us to the question of, is this Seahawks coaching staff going to look different next year? Now, the quarterback coach and some of these position coaches, those are bound to change. That happens a lot, especially if you're having a good year. It happens a lot more. Not saying the Seahawks are really in that position this year, but I start to think about, hey, the guy's a little bit higher up. Obviously, you think about Shane Waldron, you think about Ken Norton Jr., but you really think about Pete Carroll. And I think, I've heard you guys talk about it in the comments, and I've read a lot of things. There are rumors circulating regarding head coach Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has been in Seattle since 2010. He's been there for a long time. He's one of the longest head coaches to be with a specific team. And so at 70 years old, it does make us think about, is his time almost up as a head coach? I could see it going either way. Pete Carroll may consider retiring, in my opinion. I'm not saying that it's 100%, but I wouldn't be surprised if that makes sense, because I actually don't think that Pete Carroll is going to end up getting fired. I know some of you guys have said that, but realistically, you have to think about it. Who's making those decisions? Well, the GM is John Schneider. I don't see him making any moves like that. And I definitely don't see Jody Allen saying, all right, after one bad season, we're firing Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has had a really good relationship with this Seahawks organization. And if you don't know this, he's actually the vice president of the Seahawks. They are not going to let a guy that has led them to so many wins just get fired at 70 years old. I mean, it's a harsh business. I don't know if it's that harsh. So I actually don't think that Pete Carroll is going to publicly, maybe get fired, but I could see him possibly retiring, maybe saying, hey, I want to call it quits. Then again, though, Pete Carroll's a competitive guy. There's no way you're in this league that long if you are not competitive. I'd be very surprised at the same time to know that Pete Carroll would want to end on a year like this. So it does make me want to ask you guys the question of, will Pete Carroll be the head coach of the Seahawks next year? By the way, we can do more videos on Pete Carroll, but for now, answer this question. If you think he's going to be the coach next year, type Y for yes. Or if you think it's going to be another guy, type N for no.